Hello everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in. I, of course, am Rotype, and welcome back to Cedar Valley Redux, where today we're just going to do a quick update video. I'm recording this on the 19th of May. Mass Transit came out just a few days ago, and while I don't actually have the expansion, and we'll talk about why in a few moments, I figured I would go through a couple of the little updates that came along in the free patch, as well as some other things that are affected by it, and just in general give a little bit of an update of how the city is doing. So if you don't already know, I do pre-record a lot of episodes. Sometimes I get up to 2 weeks ahead. At the moment, I'm about a week and a half ahead. I do have episode 19 already recorded and rendered, even though this, I guess, will technically be episode, 17 and a half, I'll call it, because we won't do a full episode. So I am a little bit ahead. So the next couple episodes you will see, namely 18 tomorrow and 19 on Tuesday, will be without the mass transit patch update, because like I said, I pre-record, so I wanted to have those ready just in case I could not get back into the city, the game would crash, all the mods were broken, stuff like that. So that is a perfect springboard into a discussion about the mod status. And go, if you are on Reddit, or if you are on Steam, or if you're on Simtropolis, go shower some love on the modders, because almost all of the mods work. Again, this is the 19th of May, it's 6 p.m. Eastern time. And the only mods in my collection, which by the way you can access through a link in the description, you'll be able to get to my Steam collection. I have the assets and the mods in separate collections, so you can have them all organized. Under the mods, all of them are working except for dynamic resolution, which causes a crash, and automatic emptying extended, which does not cause a crash but throws an error. So when I loaded up this game, it threw an error about automatic emptying extended, and otherwise I can play just fine. And again, this is as of the 19th of May. I presume they'll both be updated in some point soon, and everything will be great. But all of these mods were updated yesterday even. I logged in and I tried to see what the status was, and I was almost able to just jump right in. So like I said, if you are on any of the platforms that the modders are on, go hit them with some love, because some of them, especially like Bloody Penguin, I think updated a ton of his mods right away. Sam, I know, has updated a bunch of his mods. I mean, I should have written out a big list of them all, because they're all amazing. They all covered all of everything that needed to be done. So I should also note, just in case you're not aware, the assets generally don't have to be updated or fixed or anything. So the assets collections I have, as I mentioned, I have technically 2 collections of assets, because Steam doesn't let you put more than 1,000 in one collection. So I have 2 collections of assets and 1 collection of mods. They're all kind of separate. If you want everything I have, you'd have to subscribe to all 3. I did not unsubscribe from the assets, because the assets are just buildings and things like that you don't necessarily need to worry about the patch affecting. So that is the status of the mods. One other thing I'll mention about mods, and everybody is kind of worried about a few. I don't subscribe to improved public transit. I think that is the one that's still a little bit iffy, because mass transit, the Colossal Order patch, does mess around with public transit. I don't use it, so if you do, just beware that it may or may not be updated at this point. Another mod that handles traffic and stuff like that was also updated extremely quickly is Traffic Manager, which is this icon here. If you're not aware, Traffic Manager is what lets you, let's see, I'll just go through a little bit here. Let's zoom out so we don't get that loud noise. It has these things like the lane connector and speed limits. You can set speed limits. One thing, I just wanted to talk about this briefly because it's amazing, and I wanted to, talk about it because it's so cool, is this parking restrictions button. This thing is awesome. Like, this is what many of us have been talking about for a long time, wanting to be able to do. And I'm trying to find an example where I wanted to use it. Here we go. Right in here. So a lot of times we'll use the network extensions kind of simple road. It's just concrete thing because it blends in, but it gives us a little bit of ability to generate these curves. And sometimes it's just useful to do some things. and then a car will just come up and park in the most inconvenient place and just no good. And there were mods previously that would disable parking everywhere, but not necessarily on a per street basis. Well, now you can disable parking on a per street basis. I'll go over here to Port McCarthy too, where you can see where it would be extremely useful. So here I have a road because I need to have a road there for the seawall to connect to. It's just the way the seawall needs to be attached to a road. But obviously I've used Surface Painter to scratch over the road, and I put all this dirt and rocks and stuff. And that's not the aesthetic or the functionality I really want. I just needed to anchor the seawall. And before, I don't know if people have noticed, I tried to not show it on camera, but people would be parking along the sides of this road, and it would just be really agitating to me. And, you know, it just looks weird, right? A bunch of people parking in this dirt fenced off area. Now I could turn off the parking and nobody parks there. It's amazing. So like I said, I just had to talk about that because it's awesome. It really fulfilled something that I was looking for quite a while. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what the actual patch does. Like I said, I don't have the expansion, but I do have the patch. Ooh, we were just talking about this, and now we got somebody. So it's possible with the update, you may have to reset some of your settings. I'm going to go in here. Oh, these are set. Interesting. So that guy ignored my settings, but we'll come back to that later. So let's talk about the actual patch updates and what they do to the game. The most obvious, at least from our current view, are these street names that you'll see kind of just scattered all about. It's a little interesting that they're always there. I wasn't necessarily expecting that, or maybe a button to turn them on or off, but they're not obnoxious or anything, so I can live with it. They do go away, as you see when you zoom out a bit. When you zoom in, you see all these street names, which is really kind of nice. I mean, if you're doing a bunch of details like I am, or at least I am kind of forming some rudimentary story about the city or just kind of a background to the area. And street names can sometimes kind of help you generate the story, or especially if you're building something very specific. I've tossed around the idea of doing a recreation of a specific city. And in that case, you can imagine it would be fantastic to be able to name each of my streets. These, as you can see, they're just hundreds of them all over the place. So I'm not going to go in and rename all of these streets. I don't have a specific need to name them all. I don't have a background story behind each and every street in my city, but certain ones I did. Now, if you remember a while ago, I was talking about why I named this area Nora, being north of Ralston Avenue. And let's see here, you zoom right in, you can see Ralston Avenue. So I am going to use it going forward in this kind of manner where you just kind of use it where in specific places where there's a story behind it or some other reason to do that. So there's not too many other places. Let's see. I also named this highway. I'm assuming the highway is called Central Artery, and then there's the northbound and southbound lanes. Now, the weird part about that is, let's go over here to where it's still left with the, nope, I did fix that one too. Maybe over here. If you leave it to the default, it treats the highways as different, which I think is kind of interesting. I mean, I don't really know of any highways that have the northbound or one direction and the other direction named different highways. So that's kind of funny. While I'm staring at this, maybe I will just rename. I don't want the truck. This is a good way to show off how you do this. You just kind of click on, when you get close enough, you'll be able to click on the name if there aren't cars in the way. And then you just, this regular old box we're used to seeing. I'll just call this Middle Highway as well. I don't think it has a problem with two things being named the same thing. For some reason, it moved the label, but that's just fine. So now we have the Middle Highway, which, I don't know, that's fine for now. And then I saw the Central Artery southbound, and here I had to go ahead and actually do the Adams Highway. I believe one of them was called Adams Highway, and I just like I did with the other one, I just renamed it so that they match. Now, one thing you will notice here is it does kind of automatically switch for highways and bridges, which is kind of cool. That does bring up an interesting point. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is how you kind of designate, well, two things. This is a priority road, meaning if it were, say, an avenue and you made an avenue a priority road and you brought another avenue into it, the priority avenue would have traffic priority, things like stoplights, timing on stoplights, or you could even set the yield signs or stop signs. So that is another feature of the update that I'll show you in just a moment. But so that's the priority road button. Then there's this kind of connecting button. So this here is how you tell the simulation or the system what this road is. So this entire green line, this is me telling the simulation that this is what I want Adams Highway, this designation to be. You have these extra buttons up here, and this can also be accessed by the new traffic routes button here. This will pull up the similar thing, where this is a similar tool to the traffic report mod that used to be around. So this is, you click on this road, let's just say, and that'll say, all right, who's traveling on this road? What type of vehicle are they? And where are they going? So this is kind of useful. I mean, like I said, it's similar to the mod that was very useful. There are some things a little bit not as useful about it that I don't like. You don't get the numbers. I prefer to see, a lot of times when I'm using the traffic report tool, I want to know how many private vehicles or cars are on here as opposed to trucks. That way, do I need to solve a car problem? If you're talking about a traffic jam, why are so many people in their cars driving on this road? Or is it a cargo problem? So that's a little bit, I guess you can kind of look at the color and you say, okay, this is mostly blue, I think, but I can't tell if that's mostly blue or if the blue is just on top of the other colors. So that's a little bit unfortunate. It also puts you in this white view, which may or may not have something to do with the toggleable whiteness mod, but it's kind of jarring. I'd really rather it not be, but it's a useful addition all the same. And then you have this junctions, and this is what I was talking about a few minutes ago, where you can switch your junctions. So this is also a feature of Traffic Manager, but now they have added it to vanilla, where you can switch between stop signs. You can change, turn certain ones off, certain ones on. I was under the impression that you could do yield signs, but evidently not. The only other thing I'll test is, what if I turn this to stop, and then let's see if I adjust this road to a priority road. Yeah, okay, so it sticks a stop sign automatically, whereas it used to be before, if I turn this off priority road, it's just, I guess, an equal intersection free for all kind of thing, which is kind of weird. I don't know how that works, but so that's how that works. Just click to make it whatever type of junction you want. So again, that's kind of nice. A feature we already had in Traffic Manager, but it's nice to have it in vanilla, I suppose. It does still work in Traffic Manager. You can do switch traffic lights, same idea. Just click it, whatever you want. And again, Traffic Manager still has these priority signs, which is kind of nice. You have to remember what each sign looks like, but now you have priority and yield. So kind of Traffic Manager is still more useful, but I don't know. It's nice that they're sort of listening to what's going on and making some improvements. Another change that some people might find really useful, and I know a lot of people, were concerned about it, I haven't really cared, is this allow intercity trains. So you can, it's a little odd to be doing it for this size of a station, but you can have a couple smaller train stations and connect them to your large network and not worry about these large intercity trains coming in. You can designate it as, maybe a metro that you make out of these rails. I personally am really excited to use the Metro Overhaul mod, which also now works. That was another one I was worried that would be broken for a while, but nope, that one now works. So I'm excited to get to use with the Metro Overhaul mod and basically mix and match trains, above ground trains, below ground trains, subways and stuff, more than I will be using these kind of rails for intra-city transit. So, like I said, some people want to use it and it'll be great, good functionality. not so important for me. So that is, I believe, the complete list of features that come in the free patch that you're pretty much forced to get, and how they kind of affect gameplay. And in short, they don't do anything crazy. A couple nice mod features that have been added into the full game, but nothing that's really going to screw with your city or how things run, anything like that. So with that, I figured I would talk a little bit about why I don't have the expansion. And it's pretty simple. The expansion pretty much gives you the addition of blimps, monorails, ferries, and I believe there's one other thing that I'm probably forgetting right now, but an extra public transit kind of feature, as much as you might think of blimps as a public transit feature. And that is exactly why I don't have it, because they're nice, and I certainly do appreciate the free parts of the patch, but I am not going to be going through putting monorails and blimps into the city because I'm after this very realistic aesthetic that just doesn't suit itself to monorails and blimps. So I might buy it to support the developers because obviously I love this game, but that's why at this moment I don't actually have the mass transit paid update. So with that, that'll be the end of this quick little update, sneak preview to the pre-recorded episodes. I hope you all enjoyed the update. I hope you found it informative. And I also hope you will tune in tomorrow for our regularly scheduled Cedar Valley Redux episode. But until then, my name's been Rotype. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.